Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this evening's podcast. Stumbling, I'm your host, Denny Cool, of course. This is episode 8, and tonight it may be a little shorter podcast. I don't know because I literally studied this information within a day or two. All right, given. Sorry, guys, got to put my filter here, or else I get hush back. Hush all over the world. Anywho, so I literally studied this information. I took my brain and utilized it to absorb as much information as I could within a short period of time. I was trying to think a few days ago before having tonight's podcast what I wanted to do for content, what story I wanted to tell, discuss, share. Uh, and lately, I've been seeing these short videos and theories and all that stuff about flat Earth. Now, I asked, several people about it, and of course, the answers came back were just absolutely crazy. Nobody could give me anything definitive. So I wanted to do something on my own, right? To kind of share with you what I found and what my thoughts and opinions are. Now, don't forget, if you're not an email member, okay, you can simply sign up for our email right here. That gives you email memberships. You get notifications and all that stuff to all of our shows on DCG Entertainment. That includes this podcast. That includes our Friday night events, contests, all that stuff, as well as the new radio show, which actually did quite well. We released that this past Sunday. That's from 5 to 8. It's a radio show broadcast where we air and stream members that record from past to current and all that stuff. So it's actually pretty cool, but that's how you sign up to become a member and get exclusive notifications. You can join our contest and all that fun stuff. So with that being said, I racked my brain. I was trying to think of some content, a story like I was saying. And I want it to be a little challenging for me, but a little fun and interesting at the same time. So I studied and researched all last night. I studied, researched the good portion of the day today, and I got to tell you, I this flat Earth theory, and of course it's not just flat Earth. I'm going to show you some other amazing videos that just make you go like, say what? Like, is this even possible? And it's pretty amazing stuff, So hopefully this works out, or maybe you can watch something or hear something that you never knew, or maybe you might learn something new tonight. I don't know. But if anything else, it's going to be interesting, and maybe we can kind of take this journey together and, I don't know, come up with your own ideas or opinions as to what you may think is really going on. Now, I think that, in my opinion, everything I'm going to share with you tonight about these theories is common sense. But this isn't new. This is not anything new that I'm sharing with you. I mean, this is going back years, 330 BC. So, I mean, this stuff is old. Okay, but I will share that with you and hopefully try to give some more insight on it. And I'm going to try to base as much information as I can around the sites and things that claim to be factual. Again, I don't make these claims. I simply share the information with you. It's up to you to decide and share your thoughts and can come up with your own conclusions as to what it is with the content I provide. It's that simple. Hey guys, John, Judy, how y'all doing? Oh, yeah, I was rushing around today. Yeah, I know, long time no talk, guys, huh? It seems like just, I don't know, an hour and 35 minutes ago. So for those of you out there watching, or you don't have to be in the live chats, but if you are, that's fine. You can share your comments as well, or chat, comment, post after the show too. We appreciate that. But again, don't forget to check out our Wednesday night chat podcast. Then we have our Friday night featured artist theme nights and all that stuff. This Friday night, as a matter of fact, we're doing a Australian theme night, which is bands and artists that originated from Australia. And 9 out of 10, they had to come to the U.S. to make it big. I'm just saying, throwing it out there. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. So we're going to be featuring the members that will be performing songs from artists and bands from Australia. So that's going to be a good turnout. So far, we have a packed show. And then again, our Sundays, 5 to 8 is the live radio broadcast. We have like close to 3,000 views on that so far. So I think it went over pretty good. It's actually pretty cool. It's kind of relaxing. No hype, really. It's just a nice image, whatever I decide to put up, whether it be motion or whatever. And you kind of just relax and listen in, and you can hear all of the tunes that we feature. And the good part is they are all from our members. And there are some that we did feature, though, that may not be an emailed member, but we still feature them, so we will still air them. And again, you are more than welcome to join the chat group on WhatsApp. That is, of course, free, too. That's where all our members go for a little side chat. But let's get on with the show. All right, this is going to be fun. It was quite interesting because there is so much to this. All right. So let's get started with this. As common sense, or from what we can see, we understand. Hey, Jim. We understand the world itself, the globe, the earth, to be round, circular, like this. Okay? A baseball. Okay? Now, what I'm going to show you during tonight's episode is flat earth theorist, conspiracy, whatever theories. This is their view of what the earth actually looks like. Now, this is just a glass dome, half, okay? So essentially, you're taking this and, kind of flipping it upside down, I guess, is kind of what their premise is. So we kind of live on a flat surface according to them. We don't live on a round surface that spins over 1,000 miles an hour, rotates and tilts and all that fun stuff, and the sun goes just like this. I'm very animated, so I'm trying to bring it down to a level so everybody can understand, so that you're not trying to keep up with my intellect, because it's very extreme. So follow me here, will you? All right, and this is basically how we were taught growing up in school. And again, we don't know for sure. I've never been out in space. From the images and videos that we now see, and they're at your fingertips. You can always look something up online or whatever. It appears that the Earth, for sure, is round, or so you would think. But their argument is it's not. And I actually found this audio. It's a complete narration. There's no video in it, but you'll see me, of course. But it explains why they feel that NASA, in particular, is lying, and that everything you're seeing has been photoshopped. It's dubbed, which opens the argument that, well, when we first went back, I think it was, matter of fact, John and I, who's on there now, we were talking, and the Voyager, I think it was launched, what, John, you said 97 or 98 or something? Like, no, actually way before then, right? 96? Regardless, it's been up there for quite some time, and it took images. Now, I don't believe we had AI back then, or Photoshop, or anything like that. Now, maybe the government did. I don't know. But what I do know is this. Technology, to what we understand it to be now, 64 years. Well, Judy, I'm going to tell you that they are telling you that, yeah, you've been lied to for 64 years. In the 70s, John, thank you. Okay, so since the 70s, they're claiming that we've been lied to. It's a conspiracy. And the government, NASA, all these top officials basically lied to us. As a matter of fact, here is one. This is an image, okay? All right, now you're probably asking yourself, what in the world am I looking at, right? Well, if you look at this image here, this is obviously what? The logo for the United Nations. And what I did was I clipped the entire article because I wanted it to explain the origins and everything else, what it's symbolic for, and what have you. Now, when you look to the left and to the right, that's just kind of a depiction of, okay, from 1945 till now, those are the subtle changes, okay? But their argument is that even back then, they knew the earth was flat, hence, that is why their symbol of the globe, as you can see, it's flat. Okay, so what they're claiming is the United Nations, the emblem here is flat, and so they knew, and that's kind of a hidden message. Like the Masons had all sorts of hidden symbolic little messages that are hieroglyphs, whatever they called them. But that's what they're trying to claim, okay? Now, okay, cool. I can understand that argument, but here's my counter argument to that. What if I take, for instance, I don't see anything that I could use as an example that I would have to kind of show anybody, so I'm going to try to illustrate as best as I can. Okay. Has anybody ever purchased a plaque or an outside, hanging ornament? Let's use an eagle, for example, okay? So what if you took a statue that you can hang on your house or something, a flattened image of an eagle? Because the whole shape of it clearly would be a little bit difficult to mount unless it's on a stand. Then you'd get the full perspective of what the actual eagle looks like. So it's a flat image. Most people put them above their garages. You see that quite a bit. Or how about the numbers and letters on a mailbox? Well, they're not rounded out, right? They're flat. Why is that? Well, it's to give you the perspective, the understanding. It's a emblem, right? It's a symbol. It's a representation. So it's not an exact. It's not a depiction of what it is, but it's representation of something. So the fact that they're using this as an argument here, saying that, look, the United Nations even claims, but they're doing it quietly. They put the flat world up there, the globe, that isn't round, it's flat, and they're putting that up there because that's how it really is. Me personally, I find that, well, John, that's the whole argument, right? John says, if you're not watching, if you're listening, he says you can't create a 2D image of a third object without flattening it. Well, that would be the very point of my argument, is that they are taking something that is so basic in principle, right? I picture a monkey hanging up here, okay? Now, say I wanted to make a plaque of monkey, and I wanted to flatten him out so that maybe, I don't know, he could be hung on my wall, whatever. The point being is, for me to duplicate him, I literally have to do a 2D or 3D print or whatever it is to make him exact. And so I think that argument, in my opinion, is very weak, that they're using the emblem of the United Nations as a sign. If you're going to make that argument, I mean, maybe come up with, I don't know, something different. And I read it, and I said, this doesn't make any sense. To me, it's just a flattened image. And I have seen United Nation emblems with that exact symbol and all the features that are rounded, right? In 9 out of 10, you look on the buildings, where they're government buildings, the images are flattened specifically for that purpose, because you understand what it means. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what it's representing. You know what it means. Yeah, well, conspiracy. That's it has no backside, right? But let me share this with you. This I found to be very interesting. I could probably show you the picture. No, you know what? I'm not going to bother doing that. I could, though, but I don't know if I want to. Let me see. Maybe I can, guys. Hold on. Let me try to add something here while I'm talking, because this strikes me. Give me 1 second. Bear with. I could probably put it right in here. Yeah, I could do that. I could drop it right in here while I'm doing this. There we go. Okay, this is going to be a little weird. Probably distorted. Here we go. Kind of distorted, but this is what they're claiming. If it's a little distorted, I apologize. I just dragged and dropped it right in there to show everybody, because I'm doing this live. I don't do pre-records. Square and stationary Earth. So essentially, this is what they're trying to tell us it looks like. Okay, now I don't. Even based off of this here, you can go there and look at the actual link and read all about it. It's pretty fascinating. But what I find funny is that when you look back at history, I thought that this was something that was new that people were coming up with. And I said to my wife, I said, what is the flat earth stuff? You believe these people? She goes, that's been around. I said, it has? She goes, yeah. So I did some research. Well, the flat earth, it's scientifically disproven. It's the conception of Earth shape as a plane or disk, right? It reads that many ancient societies subscribed to the flat earth conspiracy. The model has undergone a recent, now this is important, this is why I'm just hearing about this, because Denny Cool typically knows all, and this I didn't know. But it has undergone a recent resurgence as a conspiracy theory in the last 21st century. What's that tell you? Well, you can get onto a whole nother subject, but that's the uprise in the bombardment of social media. You see, everybody's connected, right? The idea of a spherical Earth appeared, check this out, in ancient Greek philosophy with, I can't even pronounce that, but we'll just say it's the 6th century BC. See, told you it was BC. However, the early Greek cosmological view of a flat Earth persisted among most pre 6th and 5th century BC. So in the early 4th century BC, now this I do know, Plato wrote about a spherical Earth. Now, by about 330 BC, which is what I said at the start of the show, you all know who Aristotle is. He was the actual student of Plato. Now, he had provided strong evidence for a spherical round Earth. Knowledge of the Earth's global shape gradually began to spread beyond that world. So by the early period of the Christian church, the spherical was widely viewed, it was widely held. But here's the funny thing, though. Early religion, a lot of your false religions took it as an insult, okay, like a war against religion, that you were claiming that the earth was round. We use that term, okay, for lack of better words. So they help to spread the propaganda that the earth indeed is flat. And the reason a lot of them come up with this idea is because it's a term that's even referred into the Bible, which I talked about a couple of weeks ago, that when reading scriptures, you have to, like anything, you've got to read beginning, middle, and end. You don't just take one or two words out of there and say, oh, look, this is what it says. No, that's firmament. And I'm going to tell you the Greek translation of that. But that refers to it in the scriptures. But it doesn't say what these people claim it says. That's not what it means as to what they're claiming. And I'll explain that later. So this goes on and on and on and on. Okay? Now, the funny thing about this is, despite the scientific facts and obvious effects of Earth's spherical significance, flat Earth conspiracy theories persist. Since the 2010, belief in a flat Earth has increased, both as membership of modern flat Earth societies and as uninflated individuals using social media. See, I said that earlier. I need a cookie. In a 2018 study, though, reported on by Scientific America, only 82% of 18 to 24-year-old American respondents agreed with the statement. I've always believed the world is round. However, a firm belief in a flat earth is rare, with less than 2% acceptance in all age groups. Now, that may have changed. It may have gone up a little bit because of all the hype. When you think about that number, 2% from all age groups actually believe that the earth is flat. Okay? And here's my opinion on that. It's kind of like the TikTok theory and YouTube University. You ever hear that? Well, what that's referring to is a lot of your younger, even some of your middle-aged and older generations, they go on these social media sites, and to them, it's the Encyclopedia Britannica. They look at this, and they're like, oh, like, whoa. This must be true. It's on TikTok. This must be true. I watched how to build this on YouTube. I can build a house. It shows me right here on YouTube. If I just watch this 4-hour video, I can build a house. Honey, do you want to build a house? Let's go build our own. Sounds stupid? That's the whole thing of it, is that they watch this stuff with nothing to make it factual, nothing to back up their belief other than what they're watching. Now, does that make them dumb? No, I don't think it makes them dumb. I think it's a little naive to watch something and then just kind of fall into that trap that it must be true, when all you got to do is research. Take your time, research it, reference different sites and whatever. Make sure, obviously, the notable sites or whatever. Go to different science pages, all that different stuff, but don't just go off of a social media site. Whether it's true or not, you're not doing yourself any good. You're really not learning anything. You're watching something. You're soaking information that could be fragmented. And so you're really not doing yourself justice, right? That's my take on it, and that's my opinion on it. Now, you may feel different. That's fine. You're entitled to feel and share whatever you want. That's what this show is about. Now, here's what I want to share with you guys, too. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, listen, I could have done a week worth of stuff on this. It's insane. The North and South Pole, the equator, the ice belt, right? they believe that like that's the edge. Beyond those ice walls is where the end of the Earth lies, and there's a different realm. And it proves to them that the Earth is flat and all that stuff. It's I don't know. My brain doesn't stretch that far, and I doubt it ever will. There are things that I'm open to learning and discussing, but there are just some things I just ignorantly I'm closed-minded to, because all my common sense must go out the window at that point, and I don't like that. It puts me in a very uncomfortable place. But again, I'm willing to entertain an idea as long as it's within reason, right? But that's just me. You could be your own person, entertain your own ideas, go as far as you want to. You know, that's up to you. I don't judge anybody for what they think or feel. But I've yet to see anything that disproves that the Earth is round. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I've yet to be wrong. Why is that, you ask? Well, I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. And someday people will figure that out. I'm going to show you, if I got my videos in order. This here is just a quick clip, I think, but I want you to take a look at this. So what you were just looking at, let's go with the flat Earth theory, is that you've seen a spinning Earth rotating. Well, okay. But it's not. That was all edited. That's all camera tricks. That's photoshopped. That's NASA lying to you. Government, United Nations. So this round thing, really, that you just looked at, that little quick image, is really not what it is. It's flat, and it's not round. Your eyes are playing tricks on you. Okay, let's take a look at this video here. This is interesting. I'm going to share this, and then I want to go into this narration, okay, because I find this to be very, very, very interesting. And again, it's just when you look at our solar system, the alignment of everything, which I didn't get into a lot of the technical things of it because I want to try to keep it simple, mainly for my sanity, because I mean it gets deep, and I think that you really have to understand the definitions behind a lot of things that you're watching too, unless of course you study and you research, and then you become more knowledgeable of it, right? But to just watch it once or twice and to say, oh yeah, I get it. You may be one of those people that just gets it all the time. But for me, I really like to understand what it is that I'm reading, watching, hearing, and all that. But this is quite interesting. Let me see. Let's take a look at this here.
We're used to seeing Earth like this.
Okay, so this is called Real Earth, and I put the links up on the main page. You can go directly to these guys' links. They do some really nice stuff up there. So take a listen to what he's explaining. This is really, really cool, right? This is about 8 minutes, but you will enjoy this, okay? So here we go. Let's take a look. It's called Real Earth, but this, what you're looking at, this still image right now in the video, if you look from left to right, okay, they're claiming that that's actually what Earth looks like. And of course you can see the curvatures there, what have you, but that's what they're claiming, right? Flat Earth. But these are actual images, and he cites where he gets all these videos and stuff from, okay? They're on his site as well. But just take a look and listen to how he narrates through this, and then we're going to jump into the flat Earth concept. So let's take a listen.
A globe of blue and green, clouds swirling like brushstrokes, hanging against a black canvas. But always from the same angle, the same perspective. From orbit, from the space station, from satellites just a few hundred kilometers away. But what if I told you that's not the whole picture? Today I'm taking you on a journey to see Earth from where few ever imagine, through the lens of distant spacecraft millions of kilometers away, from the surface of Mars, from the rings of Saturn, even from the edge of the solar system itself. Why does it matter? Because seeing Earth from these impossible distances puts our world into perspective. No borders, no wars, no voices of division, just one beautiful planet that we all call home. This is Earth, as very few of us have ever seen it before. You're watching V101 Space. My name's Rob, and if you enjoy diving into the wonders of space, don't forget to subscribe for much more to come. In December 1968, 3 astronauts orbited the moon for the first time in history. As they came around the far side, one of them, Bill Anders, looked out of the window and saw Earth rising above the lunar horizon. 384,000 kilometers away, Earth hovered like a delicate ornament. Blue oceans, white clouds, no borders.
All right, guys, I got to pause it here for a second because I want to explain to you what I was just talking about earlier when they say that it's edited and dubbed. So at this time, I think he said 1967, right? Allegedly, this here, what you're going to see, is the effect of edits. According to what I will play throughout this episode, you're going to hear the flat earth conspiracy theorists believe what's going on is that this information is being hidden and that what we're seeing is faked. It's dubbed, made for us to believe otherwise. Okay?
It was the first time humanity truly saw itself from beyond Earth. Anders snapped a photo that would become iconic, Earthrise. This image helped launch the modern environmental movement, highlighting our planet's fragility and sparking widespread awareness about its vulnerability, leading to the creation of Earth Day. When you see our home from this far away, it makes you realize it's not just a planet, it's our lifeboat, and we are all on it, floating through a dark ocean. In 2017, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft was on a mission to collect samples from an asteroid called Bennu. As it left Earth behind, at around 1.3 million kilometers away, it turned around to take one last look. The image it captured shows Earth as a small sphere, but floating beside, you can see the tiny grey dot of our moon, highlighting just how far away the Apollo 8 astronauts were when Bill Anders snapped the Earthrise photo. In fact, within that gap, you could fit all of the other planets in the solar system. This perspective is staggering. Earth is no longer a dominating force in the frame. It's a small marble, a memory. And yet, that tiny orb contains every poem, every war, every human, every sunrise, everything we've ever known. Now let's travel even further to Mars, our neighbour, 228 million kilometers away. Several missions have looked back at Earth from Mars's orbit, including ESA's Mars Express. In May 2023, it turned its cameras back toward home and captured something we rarely get to see: Earth and the Moon together in motion. This wasn't just a still image, it was a short sequence, 4 frames, stitched into a beautiful animation. Earth and the moon dancing across the blackness, tiny, fragile, perfectly in sync. From this perspective, you don't just see the Earth, you feel how far away it really is, but also how small we really are. That white dot houses every single one of us.
What would you tell a man who's been late to everything for 40 years, no matter how hard he tries to?
From the surface, the view is even more surreal. In one image taken by Curiosity in September 2024, Earth is just a pale blue dot, a star in the night sky. But from this perspective, to the left of it, a dark shape is rising. That's Phobos, one of Mars's 2 moons, caught mid-ascent. The photo has been nicknamed Earth Setting, Phobos Rising. It's a title that feels less like a science mission and more like poetry, because that's what it is, a Martian sunset where Earth plays the part of the star. From here, Earth isn't just a place, it's an alien world, and we are the aliens. Now we travel to the realm of the giants. From Saturn, Earth is beyond tiny. In 2013, NASA's Cassini spacecraft was orbiting Saturn at around 1.44 billion kilometers from Earth when it captured a series of photographs unlike any other. This image, named The Day the...
Okay, I want you to pay close attention. I love how this guy narrates this, but I want you to pay really close attention. Matter of fact, you're seeing what I'm going to be talking about right in front of you now, but pay close attention to this next.
Earth smiled, shows Saturn's massive rings in the foreground, and in the corner, a speck of blue light floating in the dark.
Okay, you see that. Let me just get rid of me. Now you see that little circle. But then in comparison, contrast to that, right? Look at that half of a curvature of this planet. I mean, this thing's the biggest planet. This thing's massive. So we are flat, but the other planets are all spherical. They're round, except for Earth. Earth is the only one that is flat. But all of these planets here that clearly show a rounded edge are not. Or are they, according to them? Because we live in the firmament, a glass dome, a bubble, if you will.
That speck, all of us. And at the time, NASA asked the world in advance, look up and smile. In this image is a planet where millions of people were aware, smiling for a picture taken from the outer solar system. And finally, one of the farthest views of Earth ever taken, and perhaps the most profound. In February 1990, Voyager 1 had travelled around 6 billion kilometres. It was long past Neptune and was leaving the solar system behind. Engineers turned the spacecraft around just once to take a family portrait of the planets. And there, caught in a single sunbeam, was Earth, just 0.12 pixels wide. That photograph famously became known as the pale blue dot. Carl Sagan wrote, "That's here, that's home, that's us. Every king and queen, every child, every dream, reduced to a single point of light." It's not a photograph, it's a mirror. It shows us how small we are and how rare. Across every image, one truth emerges.
That truth that's emerging is pretty fascinating. When you look at this video here, all right, that I am playing for you right now. I like how he illustrates it because this photo they claim is proof. Matter of fact, when they were on the moon, they first landed on the moon and everything else, and they're taking those images, the black and white ones. Their claim was, see, look, it's flat. Okay, I'll give them the bottom part. Let's pretend, okay? Well, so what you're saying is the Earth is exactly like this glass ornament that I have, okay, right here, which I showed you earlier. Flat in the bottom, globish on top. So it's a half a dome. So that would be, if you look at the top of this dome, okay, around it, with the moon and everything included, is the firmament, according to what they believe. And according to what I understand, so that still wouldn't make sense. And again, I'm not that scientific, but to me, even this top half right here, if their claim was that the Earth is flat, well, if the Earth was flat, then why would light bend in a global shape like that, right? Because it's reflecting off of what? And how, when light reflects, it only reflects off of the shape that it's reflecting from or to. It's not going to make up its own, rules and say, I'm going to bend a different way, or I'm going to reflect on something that doesn't exist or that is not there. I mean, it's just common sense. So the bottom part of this is showing that it's flat, but maybe Voyager photoshopped it, according to them.
The farther we go, the smaller we seem. But don't mistake smallness for insignificance. Because out of 4 billion years of Earth's history, we, you, me, humanity, are the first to step outside of the cradle and turn back to see it.
Yeah, that's right. The first, ladies and gentlemen. Now, watching that video is really cool. Now, again, there's going to be a lot of people out there who may come across this, podcast and say, yeah, that's boring as heck, man. There's nothing interesting. You're not saying anything that's factual. You're not debating. You're not proving. You're not doing this. You're right, I'm not. I'm giving you my opinion. I'm giving you what I'm looking at, what I believe to be true. You don't have to agree with my opinion, and I don't have to agree with yours. That's up for friendly discussion, and that's great. But so far, I am intentionally looking for something that can prove to me that thought, that theory actually exists, and I have yet to find it. And of course, I'm limited on time, so I can't possibly post everything that I come across. But for everything that I have researched and read and watched, listened to, I haven't found anything that's conclusive that says the Earth is flat. And the idea that it's photoshopped, that NASA's lying. So you mean to tell me back in the 60s, and even before that, you can even go back to scripture, that it was photoshopped? We've been lied to this whole time, as Judy points out, for 60-something years. It's just, I don't know. I don't, me personally, I don't buy into that, but that's just me. Here's another one here. This is pretty cool. I found this to be fascinating. All right. So listen to this. This is audio, but it's about a 2-minute audio clip. All right. Now I want you to listen to this and listen to how it is explained. Well, John, you're right. Some people cling to theories that make them feel popular and or important. And you know what's so funny that you said that? You're going to literally hit on the point that this narrator explains. And so I'm going to play, this is audio only, so let's take a listen to this, because You may find this interesting. All right, let me see here. Let me find it. Okay, here it is.
Introduction. Questioning the ground beneath us. We all grow up with one of the most basic truths taught in school. The Earth is round, a blue marble spinning through space. Textbooks, teachers, movies, even globes sitting on desks all reinforce the same picture. But what if that's not the whole story? What if, for a growing number of people, this image is not fact, but fiction? Welcome to the strange, fascinating, and deeply controversial world of the flat Earth theory, where the planet you walk on might not be a sphere at all, but a flat, endless plane with hidden edges. For believers, this isn't a joke. It's a truth hidden from the masses for centuries. For critics, it's the ultimate example of science denial. But either way, it's a conspiracy that refuses to die. Ancient visions of a flat world. What if the photos of Earth from space, the iconic blue marble, the spinning globe in textbooks, the rocket launches on TV, were all staged? Flat Earth believers argue that the globe model is not just. They say humanity has been tricked into believing we live on a ball, when in fact we are on a flat, stationary plane, covered by a dome. This belief is not just about physics, it's about trust, deception, and power. If they lied about the shape of the Earth, believers say, what else have they lied about? It's a question designed not just to spark doubt, but to set fire to everything we think we know. Ancient visions of a flat world. The flat Earth idea isn't new. For much of human history, people believed the Earth was flat, not round. Ancient Mesopotamians described the world as a flat disk floating in a cosmic ocean. Norse mythology imagined a flat land encircled by a great serpent. Early interpretations of religious texts painted a picture of an immovable Earth beneath a dome-like sky. It wasn't until the Greek philosophers, Pythagoras, Aristotle, and later Eratosthenes, that the spherical model gained popularity. Flat Earthers use this history as ammunition, claiming their belief isn't fringe. It's a revival of humanity's oldest wisdom. The birth of the globe model. The globe theory spread with observation, exploration, and science. Sailors noticed ships disappeared bottom first over the horizon. During lunar eclipses, Earth's shadow on the moon was always round. Eratosthenes famously measured shadows in 2 cities to estimate Earth's circumference. Later, explorers like Magellan and Columbus circled the world, confirming it was round. And centuries later, Newton and Einstein built theories of gravity that made the globe essential to understanding physics. But flat earthers argue that all of this was assumption, interpretation stacked on interpretation, shaped by the desire to fit the globe narrative. The flat Earth model. So what does the flat Earth look like? Picture a flat disk. At the center sits the North Pole. Spread outward, the continents radiate like slices on a plate. And at the edges, Antarctica. Not a continent, but a towering ice wall, thousands of feet high, circling the world and containing the oceans. Above it all, under a great dome, the sun and moon circle overhead like spotlights, lighting different parts of the world at different times. Stars are embedded in the dome itself. This model denies not just round Earth, but space itself. To believers, there is no orbit, no satellites, no galaxies. Just Earth, sky, and a dome. NASA and the Great Deception. If the Earth is flat, then who benefits from the lie? For believers, the answer is simple. Space agencies like NASA. Flat Earthers claim NASA is the gatekeeper of the globe deception. They argue that the Earth photos we've seen are CGI, stitched together composites, or outright fabrications. Astronauts floating in space? They say it's filmed underwater or on harnesses in giant studios. Moon landings? Hollywood productions? Billions of dollars flow into space exploration every year. Money flat earthers insist funds propaganda, not discovery. It's not just a scientific disagreement. To them, it's fraud on a cosmic scale. Photos versus perception. Flat earthers don't just dismiss NASA, they point to everyday observations. Why can we see distant cities across lakes when the curve of the Earth should block them? Why don't airplanes account for curvature when flying? Why do flight paths between continents often look strange unless you plot them on a flat map? They share videos of amateur balloon launches reaching 100,000 feet, showing horizons that appear flat. They use lasers across lakes to test for curvature. Each experiment, each viral video, is presented as proof that Earth is not a globe, but a flat, stationary plane. Science strikes back. Scientists have answers to these claims. Distant cities appear because of refraction, light bending through the atmosphere, magnifying objects over the horizon. Flight paths are curved because Earth itself is curved, and the shortest route is along a great circle, not a straight line. Weather balloons do show curvature, but wide-angle lenses distort horizons, making them look flat. And the thousands of independent photos, satellite data, and astronomical observations all confirm Earth's roundness. To science, flat Earth isn't a debate. It's a misunderstanding wrapped in conspiracy. The psychology of belief. But if science has such clear answers, why do people still believe in flat Earth? Psychologists say conspiracy thinking is less about facts and more about feelings. Believing in flat Earth gives people a sense of control in a confusing world. It makes them feel special, like they see through a grand deception that billions don't. It creates an us versus them mentality, the enlightened versus the brainwashed. And once someone adopts that mindset, every contradiction becomes proof of conspiracy. The belief is less about Earth's shape and more about human identity. The rise of social media. Flat Earth might have stayed a tiny fringe idea, whispered in obscure groups, if not for the internet. Platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok gave Flat Earth a megaphone. Videos with titles like NASA Lies and The Truth About the Globe racked up millions of views. Conferences and podcasts turned belief into community. Memes mocking the round Earth spread faster than facts. Algorithms, built to promote engagement, pushed controversial videos higher, feeding audiences who wanted more. What was once a dying relic became a thriving online movement, and the internet was its launchpad. Flat Earth experiments. Flat Earthers don't just debate online, they experiment. They shine lasers across lakes, measuring whether beams drop with the curve. They build gyroscopes, claiming they don't detect Earth's spin. Some launch weather balloons with cameras reaching the edge of space. Each experiment is meant to prove the ground is flat, unmoving. One believer, Mad Mike Hughes, even built a steam-powered rocket to see the truth with his own eyes. He didn't reach orbit, but he reached headlines, capturing the world's attention. The irony? Many of these experiments, when measured carefully, actually confirm Earth's curvature. But inside flat Earth circles, results that don't fit expectations are often explained away as interference, sabotage, or manipulation.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's just a brief segment of that audio right there. It does have video to it, of course, but it's kind of still images. But I wanted you to hear the audio, to pay attention to the audio. Because what he said, and then I have another one this one I thought was a 2-minute one, but the other one is. I find what he's explaining, to me, makes complete sense. And when I started smirking a little bit in there, because it's all about emotion, it's all about feeling, it's all about, John pointed it out a little bit in there too, look at me, right? Hey, I want attention. Now, I'm not saying that's it in all of the cases, but in this particular instance, they take it as an insult that if science, now I'm not saying science is always right, don't get me wrong. I disagree with some things that science puts out there that I think is a bunch of BS, but that's my opinion. That's okay. You can have an opinion. There's right, there's wrong, and then there's me. Okay? But the point being is that everything he just explained during that narration, it kind of makes sense. You don't have to be a scholar in this or with this information to really understand it. Hey, Boston, you don't have to be a scholar to really understand the concept of a flat Earth. Growing up in school, we learned obviously about the universe, about different things. Now, there were things that I was taught in school that are now proven throughout history to be a complete lie about Christopher Columbus, the Pilgrims, the Indians, all that stuff. They sat down and had a turkey. We know it's a bunch of crap. They murdered each other. Okay. But the point being is, when it comes to space, we know more about our solar system than we do our own oceans. We discovered 1% of our Earth's actual waters, our oceans. 1%. Now, when this poll or survey was taken, that only 2% of all ages actually believe in the flat Earth theory. Okay, this wasn't that long ago. But you heard him mention that this is what they call either like hate bait, clickbait, or whatever type of bait it is. And what it is if I posted on this podcast the government conspiracy or the lies NASA doesn't want you to know about, I would probably gain the same amount of views. Why? Because people want something to believe other than what they face, meaning the reality that they're living in isn't good enough. There's got to be something bigger, something better, something that is just distorted beyond your reality. And see, a lot of times I think we get confused with reality and non-reality. Now, you can blame it on whoever or whatever you want to blame it on. But at the end of the day, you have to admit whether you believe in flat Earth or you don't. If you're believing in something other than what seems practical, or other than if you wake up, for instance, and you go outside, the sky is blue, sun is shining, but yet you're convinced that what you're looking at is not there. Meaning, the sun truly isn't shining. It's a reflection of something else. The sky truly isn't blue. In fact, it's black. Okay. It probably 9 out of 10, if you take away the oceans, would be black because there's nothing for the light to reflect and bounce back up. Sure, I suppose that would be the case. But my point is, when you're living in a reality that you're not happy with, or you're bored with it, or you want to create something outside of your world, that's, in my opinion, from just researching, that's where a lot of this stuff comes up from. People will come up with something. Matter of fact, years ago, if you guys are familiar with mythology and everything else, the Greeks and all them, years ago, believed that the world, the globe, the earth, was suspended on elephants, turtles. A lot of this comes from Chinese mythology. That it was turtles and elephants that was holding up the world, or the Atlas, right? So, and they turned that into an actual belief. The problem with mythology is that there is some truth to what people are saying. Does it mean that what they're saying or the subject of what they're talking about is true, like the physical subject. Not necessarily. My point behind there's a truth to that is the truth behind it is that they believe it, is that it originated somewhere, somehow, from someone. That's a truth. The truth is that it was created, it was propagandized, somebody created this story, and from there it transgressed and it moved on and on and on and on through centuries and centuries. And of course, then through centuries and centuries, the story changed. It's like sitting in a circle. We used to do it in school. It was a social experiment. 20 people would sit in a circle. Somebody would tell one story. By the time I got back to that person, it was totally different, right? The key was you'd write that down first, and then you would share it afterwards. So by the time I got to the last person, they're reading it like, that's not what I was told. That's so far from what I was just told. That's the point, is that there is some truth to it, right? The same thing applies, in my opinion, with this stuff. And again, I've researched everything I possibly could because I don't know. I've never been in space. I can't tell you anything about it other than what I've learned, researched, watched, listened to, read, etc. So I can't say to you factually, hey, I know for a fact. I don't, just like you don't. The only thing I can tell you is what makes sense to me. And if what they're claiming, NASA, all of these other agencies, are lying, you heard it, that the Flat Earth Conspiracy Organization believes this because of this. It's photoshopped, it's edited, and now, of course, with AI tools and all that stuff, that and the algorithms are designed to promote that propaganda. Right? Algorithms pick it up, they kind of put the pieces together. It's a lost puzzle, and they say, oh, how do we scramble this all so we can spit it out there? And that's like that with anything, really. But the point being is, if, in fact, the Earth was flat, I know enough about a little bit of science to understand that it doesn't make any sense. How light reflects, how it bends, how the heat works, the rise and fall of everything going on, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm curious as to what everybody else thinks in there. Johnny, you're absolutely right. Echo chamber of unreality. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, you have your tinfoil hat on, just pop it in and hit the like button on the video. Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, anything with shock value, John, will get hits, real or not. You're right, and I'm not saying that that's what these people are doing it for. I don't know what their intentions are. I really don't. But again, I've never heard of this theory until recently. And the only reason I even heard of this was because it's just so prominent on, of course, everybody knows I'm a content creator, so I'm on the media sites all the time, researching, learning different things, and it's been spamming across everything I go on. I'm like, what the heck is going on with this crap? And so I looked into it. And so I think that, yeah, when you do something for likes or clicks or whatever, versus, you know what? Here's what I did take note of, though, over the past couple of years. When something is factual, when something holds true, undisputed, the very truth of something, it will outlast anything that is a lie. Now, the difference is the lie, when it starts, it ignites like a flame, right? It's like, you know, taking gas, dumping it on the ground, you light the match, and poof, it's hot, man. It's just burning up. But eventually it burns out. It doesn't last. Why? Because it's not natural. It doesn't exist. It's something made up. It was something that was put together The truth of something will always survive an outlier. The truth of something will always exist till time indefinite. Why? Because it's a fact. It's undisputed. It cannot be denied. That's the difference. And a lot of these things that I see on social media like this, it was prominent way back in the day, even back in 330 BC, 6th and 5th century BC, 4th century BC, Plato and his former student, Aristotle. This is how far back this goes. What happened to it? Well, they kind of disproved that theory, and then it came back, and then it went away, and then it came back, and then it went away, and guess what? Here we are, the 21st century. Now we have social media, ways to stream and get everything at your fingertips, and here it is again. So that's my point. Something that is factual will stay forever. But when you look back in history of their theories, the premise of it, it's completely changed as to the theories and premise of what they believe today and all that stuff. It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to base something off of what you believe, then base it off of the actual facts and science that back it up. And so far, I personally haven't found any facts and science to back this up. If anything, it actually contradicts this belief. But I want you to take a look at this. Now, this really has nothing to do with the flat earth, but I really wanted to just share this because I think this right here, without even saying a word, just watching and listening to this video, just kind of says it all. I mean, this goes to show you the complexity when you think of our Earth, our home, just how amazing. I should have used this on my prior podcast, which was called Created, or Designed rather, but Created. I should have used this clip. This is just simply amazing, and it goes to show you how unique Earth truly is. But not just that, but Earth itself is the only planet, the only one that sustains life that we know of. I'm not going to even get into that argument. That has intelligent life like we, to actually have the capability and ability of defending itself against its enemies. What's its enemies? Well, that could be space, asteroids, the solar glare, whatever else is out there, but you'll see it. And it's quite amazing. Earth is the only one to have that defense. It's kind of like it's built with boxing gloves, and it protects whatever is existing on its surface or below. Here it is.
The sun is screaming. The only reason we survive it is the vacuum of space. Sound requires a medium, air, water, something to travel through. Space is empty. It is a perfect cosmic silencer. If space were filled with breathable air, the sound of the sun would be deafening. It would cross the 93 million miles and hit Earth's surface as a continuous physical roar. Every second, every hour, from the moment you were born until the day you die, it would drown out the world. You wouldn't be able to hear someone talking next to you. The dawn wouldn't be a peaceful breaking of the night. It would be the arrival of a siren. The silence of space is the only thing protecting our sanity. But sound isn't the only thing the sun throws into the void. The sun is a magnetic nightmare. Its rotation is uneven. The equator spins faster than the poles. This tears and twists its magnetic field lines, winding them tighter and tighter until they reach a breaking point. And then they snap. When a magnetic field line snaps, it releases a coronal mass ejection, a CME. billions of tons of electrically charged superheated plasma blasted out into the solar system at millions of miles per hour. A cosmic shotgun. Earth is constantly in the crosshairs. When those blasts hit us, they carry enough energy to cripple the modern world, to blind our satellites, to shatter our communications, and melt the global power grid. The only reason we are shielded from the worst of it is because Earth has its own defense, an invisible armor generated by the spinning molten iron core deep beneath our feet. Our magnetic field catches the brunt of the solar plasma, deflecting it around the planet and funneling a fraction of it to the poles. We see this violent planetary defense mechanism, and we call it beautiful. We call it the Aurora Borealis. In 1859, a massive solar storm hit the Earth, the Carrington event. It overwhelmed the magnetic shield. Telegraph wires sparked and caught fire. Operators were shocked. Auroras were seen as far south as the Caribbean. In 1859, humanity ran on steam and coal. We barely noticed. If an extreme event of that magnitude hit us today, it could trigger widespread catastrophic blackouts. The electrical foundation of the modern world could be erased in a matter of hours. We are sitting next to a loaded weapon, trusting an invisible shield to hold. The sun's violence does not stop at Earth. It breathes. A constant million-mile-per-hour gale of charged particles pouring off the surface in every direction. The solar wind. It sweeps past Mars, past Jupiter, past the frozen orbits of Neptune and Pluto. It blows a massive, invisible bubble around the entire solar system, the heliosphere. For most of human history, we had no idea it was there. But this bubble is our atmosphere, the true atmosphere of our star. It pushes back against the interstellar medium, the colder, harsher radiation environment of the space between stars. The heliosphere acts as a shield, deflecting the galactic cosmic rays of dead, exploded stars from deep space. It extends roughly 11 billion miles out. That is the true edge of the sun's domain.
Wow. Hey, Kyle, welcome, man. Good to have you, brother. That right there is just absolutely amazing again, just, get rid of the whole thing we were just talking about for a second, right? And just look at that, rewatch it, look it up. That just blows my mind to think that the Earth itself, okay, actually has a defense mechanism to it. It really blows my mind. And to my understanding, it's the only planet that does. All the other planets get bombarded with that. They just get hit. Look at the moon, look at Saturn, Mars especially. They just get bombarded with crap, asteroids and stuff. But not to mention the fact, pull up, you can research it, the sounds of the magnetic field. And of course, Earth actually produces these sounds, but see, we don't hear them. Just like the sun, what it was just explaining. But what's interesting about that video, too, that I find, now Kyle just mentioned something here, and I'm going to pull this up. This is the Tetradome, what he was just saying, okay? So that's what he's referring to. If it's a tetradon, then this is what Kyle's referring to. I'm just going to blow it up here. This is what he's referring to, if I'm not mistaken, and if I understood his text correctly, the Earth's shape is. Okay, if it's not flat, then it's this. Pretty much triangular in shape. Okay, it's a one-of-a-kind pyramid. It's a polygon, if you will. It's based on the triangular faces that connect the base to each common point. Okay, you kind of learn that in school. But I'm trying to understand that if what you're saying there is that it's that right here that's in front of my face, everything so far that I personally have looked at, watched, researched, including that video we all just seen there, it doesn't jive with the other theory. Now, you could be meaning something else. I don't know. Maybe that's exactly what you're talking about, but that's what that is. But in that case, it would leave an open argument then to kind of the flat Earth theory, because in theory, not in theory, but it's a three-dimensional shape, right? So you would basically have a left, a right, and a back. So you would have two sides predominantly larger with slopes versus the back side vice versa, right? It would be an off-shaped type of Earth. And to me, from everything I've seen, again, I'm no expert. I'm sharing my opinions out there, and of course you're welcome to share yours, yeah. I don't see how that's even possible. When you looked at that video, the one thing that stands out to me is when you looked at how they're highlighting and they're illustrating. Okay, for instance, you take a baseball, okay, what's interesting about this is the way the sun orbits and how our planets, everything else orbits. But you would have, if it's a polygon, a triangular type of shape, we can even throw, I suppose, gravity into it, because gravity is the factoring force here, right? That's really what factors everything in when you think about it, whether it's well, except for flat, because flat wouldn't make sense to even have the gravity unless you're talking the rise. But to have something that is kind of triangular, do I have anything? I do, and it's up there. It's a science class, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am Denny Cool, your 30-way science teacher. To me, when you see the airflow and everything else going around it, it makes sense as to when this is spinning. I believe it's 1,000 some odd miles per hour, whatever. That actually keeps everything in pull. Just from my eyes alone, I don't see how even a flat Earth, a triangular type of Earth, something that has 3 points to it type, could even be plausible. But again, that's just me. Again, I don't know for a fact. I've never been in space to see with my own eyes. But I also don't believe that since the early 60s that this has been photoshopped or edited. Just like when they tried to say that Neil Armstrong, no matter of fact, here's a little fact. Neil Armstrong is actually my stepdad. That's his first cousin. That's who is his cousin. My stepdad, who my mom's married to, her last name is Armstrong now. It has been for 30 plus years. His name is Gil Armstrong, and his first cousin is Neil Armstrong. Now, I've never met him, but I've seen pictures and stuff like that. They are truly cousins. But the point being is, they believed that it was photoshopped. A lot of things were done underwater. And as a matter of fact, let me get to this next narration, this audio version. I want you to listen to this. This is called Mashable. It's from this guy, Mashable. That's his channel. But just take a listen to this, and you'll understand what I'm talking
Flat
about.
Earth theory in the last few days because of rapper B.O.B. and his beef with noted astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. B.O.B. declared to his Twitter followers that he believes the planet Earth is actually flat and that all the nations of the world have joined together in a massive conspiracy to cover up this fact. Here is how flat earthers believe the universe works. They believe the Earth is a flat disk which looks like this. The North Pole is at the center, with Antarctica forming an ice wall around the outer edges of the disk.
Okay, so that's what I was talking about earlier, right there. Hate to keep stopping like that, but Antarctica is actually formed with ice walls. That's the outer edge of the disk, right? So this is Earth, as you can see, and it's flat, and that these are the walls, and beyond those walls are some hidden world or realm or whatever, or that's where it just stops, like everything just stops. And so this is, what they're trying to explain. Well, this is what he's telling you.
It's like this. The North Pole is at the center, with Antarctica forming an ice wall around the outer edges of the disk. This is why flat earthers believe the 1961 Antarctic Treaty was agreed upon by all the world's nations, so no one could reach the edge of the disk. They believe that this is the reason the UN uses this as their symbol. There is also a dome-like.
So this right there is what they believe. This is what they would call the firmament. Okay? This is what they call the firmament. This firmament is where they believe that everything within that firmament exists. Anything outside that firmament, it's just, I don't know, if I haven't gone that far into it. I don't know enough about it to kind of even make an argument. But we live basically in a snow globe, so picture this being the firmament. Everything inside this firmament would be your solar system, your Earth, your moon, your planets, your stars. Everything is inside of here. And then this being the Earth. Okay, kind of this is well, you can't see it. I'll show you after. But that glass bulb I had, that's kind of what they're trying to explain.
Barrier called the firmament, which surrounds the disk. This is an impenetrable barrier that keeps the atmosphere intact. Flat earthers do not believe we have ever passed this barrier. According to flat earth theory, gravity does not exist. Instead, they believe in the universal acceleration, believing that all celestial bodies are accelerating upward at a rate of 9.8 meters per second squared. They also believe that Earth is not actually spinning, and provide counter evidence to disprove the rotation of the planet, such as the fact that clouds in the atmosphere are not moving at the rate of 1,000 miles per hour, the rate of the Earth's rotation. Flat earthers believe that when Copernicus theorized that the Earth moved around the sun, all of the world's religions decided to accept his theories, and rather than risk being questioned, the world's religions have a vested interest in furthering the Earth globe idea. In turn, flat earthers believe that all imagery from the space program has been faked. Some of the most common pieces of evidence are the lack of direct commercial flights between two cities within the southern hemisphere. Unfortunately, and we are talking to you, B.O.B., all of these theories don't explain why a ship disappears over the horizon, bottom first.
So that kind of gives you an understanding of their belief and what they believe in regards to the firmament and everything else like that. So Kyle, what you're saying is, he's actually putting a chat in here. He says, does it make you wonder why it's illegal to go to Antarctica without government approval? Now, I can't say that for a fact, but I did research that because I did read that. Now, you can go on Quora, Reddit. Well, I don't know. Maybe not Reddit. I don't put much stock into that. But I have read, and these are from actual geologists and people that actually do go there. One post was back in, it's not that long ago, actually, here. It's by M.A. Steinberg, okay, and he's actually been there. Let me see, several other people have actually been there doing like explorations and everything else like that. Some other people have been there, so I don't know. I don't have anything to base that on, but I did research it because I did read that in one of their beliefs of what they were saying. And I know there's a lot of hype, a lot of people trying to get there that are filming it. I just don't have enough information to make an argument with you on that. But it's interesting that you point that out. I mean, I would definitely look more into that because I'd be curious as to if that is the case, if it is restricted. Again, I don't know, but I would like to find out if it is, why, what is it? Who knows? There could be various reasons. But my argument to let's uncloak that for a second and just think about this. When you look at the globe, the world, whether you're looking at it flat, spherical, whatever it is, right? When you look at the equator and you look at the ice belt and everything, unless there's something, again, I don't know, but beyond the ice wall, I haven't seen anything definitive that proves there is. But then again, like I said, I can't prove there isn't. I've never been there. But I have researched people that have been there, and they have footage, they have video of it. They've even taken drones now and flew up over the walls. And I haven't seen anybody, from what I understand yet, to be arrested or imprisoned or anything like that. And these are researchers, these are scientists, and now it's turned more into like an enthusiasm, a venture for a lot of people, which, look, I'll be honest with you, man, you would not get me out there in those cold waters. No way, no how. I just wouldn't do it. Yeah, see, well, I agree with you on that, Kyle. Why would they believe the earth is flat but still show the moon and sun as I made that point earlier. I actually pointed that out, is that you look at everything else is round. Okay, use a star for example. A star is what? It's a gas ball, or it's filled with gas and everything else like that, right? Just like our sun. But that's all round. It just looks like it's pointed because there's so many light years away. And so we're seeing light that probably started 3 years ago that's just hitting us now because that's the distance. When they talk about the firmament, as a matter of fact, if you go, again, I always say, when you're reading something, whether it's scriptural, non-scriptural, whatever you're reading, then there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's kind of like telling a story. There's a beginning of a story, there's a middle of a story, and there's an end of a story. And I think people fall into that a lot, where it's like news media, especially with political ads and all that crap. They only take segments of something that they want people to see or they want somebody to hear. They don't tell you the full story of something. And I think a lot of times that's the problem. Firmament, but a completely new earthly system of things based on spiritually orientated education for all. This is the harmony with the inspired prophecy of Isaiah. Now you can look that up, 65:17, 11:9. That because the earth will certainly be filled with the knowledge of Jehovah as the waters are covering the very sea. Now, here's the important part. The word firmament comes from the Latin firmare, which means to give consistency. Okay, now this will contradict everything you just watched about the firmament, where it's a glass bubble to make firm or solid. Now, here's where it explains it. Jerome used this expression in the Latin, in translation, the Hebrew word that to the contrary means extended surface. So, extended surface. Now, people are going to say, well, see, Denny, right there, you're proving it's extended surface. No, it's not. It goes on to say, it's an expanse. An expanse. This expanse, which to us continues. Now, of course, I'm quoting a little bit of scriptural based information here. Heaven is designed in the Hebrew text by a word which the Greek, influenced by the cosmological ideas prevailing at the time, translated by Starama, firmament. Moses transmits no such thought. He doesn't say that at all. It's actually the contrary. Okay? There shall be an expanse, a divide between waters and waters. The New World Translation, 1953, and God went on to say, let an expanse come to be in between the waters, and let a divide occur between the waters, okay, and the waters. So again, the reason I have to read this information is because when you look that up and people look at one thing and then they translate it the way they think it, but the problem is they're not reading before, they're not reading a middle, and they're not reading an end. Sometimes when you read, whether you're trying to quote something scripturally or whatever else it is, you have to read beyond, or you have to read before, because it could explain. This is what they call, it's like writing a song. We're going through it right now. Before the chorus, you might want to put a pre-chorus. It's a lead up. So it leads you into, it builds it up. And texts are the same way. Books are written the same way. It will lead up or tell you something before the main thing, right? Or before the main point. So there's always a little indication of what it means even prior to what it's actually stated. And so this idea that the firmament is this solid dome and that everything exists within that solid dome, again, telling you what I've learned and what I can read and what I understand. I'm not God, obviously. I know I'm close, guys. I get it. But common sense to me, my opinion, reads the obvious. Okay? When you look up firmament, and again, you're going by Hebrew, Latin definitions. Don't go by today's English language. I always say in my Friday night shows, the English language today in translation of it is so messed up and botched. When you go back to the old Greek, the Latin, Hebrew languages, the way they expressed and what their words meant back then, they kind of translate to what we're talking about today. But they take a translation and they turn it into, a lot of times, their own interpretation. And because it's read or they believe it a certain way, then that's what they do. And unfortunately, again, I think that you have to really go back and reread everything again, but do it from start to finish without just reading one sentence and calling it a day. That's just my opinion. I do that so I can fully understand and grasp what I'm reading. Kyle says, I wouldn't say that the Earth is 100% spherical because I'm not a scientist, but I'm 99.99% it is. I mean, I say the same thing, Kyle. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a geologist, a metaphysicist, none of that stuff. But to make that argument where people or these agencies, now, listen, that's a whole nother podcast, man. You get into, government hacks and hiding conspiracies and stuff like that, right? I get that. But when it comes to this, I agree. I don't know. I've never been there, okay? And not everything, in my opinion, can be proven. But then again, not everything has to be disproven. Sometimes, like I was mentioning earlier, reality is just what it is. And some people have a problem with accepting reality for the way things are. It's too simple. It makes too much sense. There's no way that the sun that is keeping you warm, if it's 4 millimeters away, you freeze the whole earth. If it's, I think it's 4 centimeters or 4 millimeters, you gotta look it up, I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. Any closer, that's like a third of an inch. We'd fry, but it's just right. It's just right. It's not good enough. It can't be real. The trees those aren't real. The Matrix, you see these videos, which, see, AI ruins a lot of crap. You know what? It's actually not AI. It's the people that use it. You see the Matrix theory. That I do want to get into some point down the road, because I find that to be just utterly fascinating, but at the same time, it's cool to think of, right, as a fantasy, I think. Now that I've done a lot of research on the Matrix and stuff, but you watch these videos and it shows this graph wall or barrier, and it shows certain parts that are missing, whether it be the sky, different things. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't take the video. I didn't see it myself. So I can't say that this person's lying, right? But the point being is, sometimes the way things are, we just are not happy with it. We don't want to accept things for the way they are. We want something beyond that. We have to believe that there's more to life than what life is. And that's okay. If you want to believe that, that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just, my point is, when you're looking, researching, or reading information, be careful. Study, research, and don't just go off of one tablet of information, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube, whatever it is, right? The news. Books are written for a reason. I know to a lot of people, they don't even know what a book is. I get it. But they exist. You know, a lot of them are paperback, hardback, whatever. But they exist, guys. And don't search when you're on the internet. Research. Anybody can search. I can get up there right now and search something, and then 50 tabs pull up. But I want to research it. I want to read, and then I'm going to reference that. Then I'm going to cross-reference that with something else. That's researching. And then all the information that I get, I'm going to come up with my own conclusion that makes sense. Now, it doesn't make me right, nor does it make me wrong. What it makes me is I have my own opinion. I have my own thoughts. And so I can conclude to myself what I think makes sense. And that's what these podcasts are all about. It isn't for me to point you in the direction where I think you need to be at. It's for me to put something out there, share my opinions and thoughts, and for you to draw your own conclusion and say, you know what, that makes sense, or I completely disagree with that premise. Here's mine. Okay, let me have it. I want to see it. What is your ideas? What are your thoughts? And I think that's the whole thing about this flat earth theory, is that they kind of come up with, and every time I see a different thing, whether it's a short or something on TikTok or YouTube, whatever, is they're always adding to it, right? They're always adding these new things. But the funny thing is about them is you see tons of people. Now, I don't know if the guy got shut down, not by Facebook, but by the actual people that are commenting. He had like 60-something followers. But his views were in, now he just posted it that morning, right? I was literally having my cup of coffee. I did my morning thing, whatever. And I was reading the comments. He was talking about flat earth. And of course, he's jumping off the tags of other people. So he joined the Flat Earth Society, whatever it's called, and he's trying to explain. He's using a flashlight and showing, and I'm even watching the illustration along with everybody else that is commenting. I'm like, dude, you're making not a drop of sense. Matter of fact, what you're doing is you're making everybody else's point. So in the comments, he was just getting blasted. And I commented, I gave him my thoughts and opinions. And in closing, I said to him, look, you have your opinions. I have mine. I said, but it's a fun discussion to have. And I left it at that. And so I think that when you do stuff like that, have a fun debate, have a fun discussion. You don't have to throw hatred or disparage anybody for their thoughts or viewpoints, Judy, she says, ask questions, look into it deeper. Just don't believe till you are satisfied. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Don't just read something once or twice and say, yep, that makes total sense. I believe that absolutely. No, I would say, to Judy's point, research until you are 100% satisfied that this makes sense. You feel good with it. You feel comfortable with it. And then from there, you can decide on a decision or something that feels right to you. Now, years ago, when I used to give talks and all that stuff, I would talk to a lot of people about a lot of different things. And what I found was that people were either influenced by association. A lot of it could have been from mentorship, the influences that they grew up with, media. Now it's social media. You can't go anywhere without seeing something stupid. So you got to kind of close that out. That's where, in my opinion, I think you have to be closed-minded and dismiss all of the allegations. I don't care what it's about. I've been asked so many times, and I can't tell you how many times, especially by family and friends, hey, who'd you vote for? Or, hey, who do you... I don't get involved in it. I don't. It's really not your concern. And even if it was, and even if I did get involved in that rhetoric, I still wouldn't discuss it. Because I know where that conversation leads. Because a lot of people are so embedded with that if you don't side with their opinion, and this is the other thing too, when you read these comments and posts like about the flat earth theory, these people, I mean, they're harsh. If you don't agree with their theories, their opinions, I mean, they go after you, and it's kind of like, well, what's the point of doing that? If you're trying to make me believe in something, and you're trying to get your point across, then I think the very opposite thing that you'd want to do is to really piss somebody off or to shun them or belittle them. I think because what that does is that is a red flag for me, and that tells me right away that whatever crap you're spewing, whatever BS you're throwing up is nothing but lies. Because typically people who are secure, confident, and knowledgeable, and they know what they're talking about, they firmly believe, whether it's right or wrong, if they firmly believe in what they're telling you, what their argument is, they're very calm. They're cool. Why? Because their conviction is strong. They're zealous for what they believe in. So the zeal is there. They don't have to be argumentative. They don't have to yell. They don't have to put anybody down. They say what's on their mind in a calm manner. They don't get angry about it. If you don't agree with them, that's fine. You don't have to, right? That's the whole point of it. And that's why I wanted to do this podcast. I know it may not have been that interesting for a lot of people, and that's okay, but it's not always necessarily about the content all the time. Sometimes it's more or less learning, and I think we all do, about really how to just understand other people's opinions and viewpoints. And sometimes you get more out of really watching and listening to what other people have to say and what you can take away from it. You may not take away the fact that you're a flat earth believer or you're a round earth believer or a triangular earth believer. That may not be the point in it. The point may be hidden that this is what they believe. I wonder why they believe that. What makes them believe that? And you may have an interesting conversation. And if your theory is right and you make sense of what you're saying, then so be it. Stay convicted. Stay true to your beliefs if that's what you believe in. But don't sway from that. Don't get angry at people. Have honest discussions with people. That's my opinion. That's how I personally deal with things. And I just suggest that for everybody. Be calm, and just have fun debates, And listen, I get it. It's tough, man. A lot of poopy people out there, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, sometimes it's hard to do that stuff. yeah, Jim, communicating in a civil manner, I believe, is always the way to do things. Sometimes, though, people. I had to go back to that spinning earth again. Sorry, I just. I'm not. I'm going to do it one more time. I don't see it, flat earthers. I don't see it out there. I really don't. And I just, honestly, I would love to find something that proves my thought processing wrong. I really would. I would be very interested if somebody came up with a way to show me on video something tangible that the earth isn't rotating, it's not at a tilt, it's not round, and instead it's a flat surface, and that when the ships sail, they all dive in. And they all say when a ship sinks, typically out towards those areas, the outer edges as they call them, they sink face first. Well, I think there's a very logical reasoning for that. You can actually look that up. I don't think I should have to explain why ships do that, but you can pretty much research that. But again, I would entertain and love to see some footage. So maybe, I don't know, maybe a lost photo, like that's a reel or something. The problem is, when you're researching things, you got to get away from YouTube. You've got to get away from the TikToks and all that crap, and you have to go deep, man. And what I always recommend to people is get away from funded programs, right? Try to find organizations or groups that are independent, self-sustaining. They get independent funding, private funding, not from governments, not from states, but they're independent, right? And then do your homework on them. I recommend that because I find that there's no biasy there. It's, they're non-biased to anything, right? They're doing it independently. So that's where I get a lot of my information from. And then, of course, I'll do a quick YouTube thing or something like that for the most part, because that's basically generic, But, I would love to see something that shows me everything opposite of what I literally just featured this evening. I really would. So hit me up. You can obviously do the email to become a member and get notifications on all of our shows, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to type this little email in here. Let me see here. Oops. Look at that. See? I'm so excited. I forgot We actually have a great show coming up this Friday for all of those music enthusiasts, or even if you're not a singer. It doesn't matter. If you like entertainment, if you like music, or you just like hanging around your house and watching my beautiful face and listening to my somewhat adaptable voice, you can do that 3 nights a week now. Wednesday, Friday, and now on Sunday with our live video broadcast, you can do that as well. Sunday is 5 to 8. Friday, of course, because we are having so many features now. It was at 7:30, but it is now at 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 o'clock. Matter of fact, I will put the link right in here if anybody happens to want to swing by. Check out our Friday live shows. I'm going to tell you right now, you won't be disappointed. A lot of great entertainers. Our members are just absolutely fabulous. Okay, and of course, yes, I will be there. So fear not. It's a good time. Live chats. We also have the live Zoom and everything else like that for people. So please check it out, guys. Okay, every Friday we do the live featured artist shows with different themes. Next Friday we have a contest coming up, which will be announced. That's the Songwriting Challenge contest that we are doing, that a good portion of our members are participating in. Pretty cool. All right, that concludes this podcast. A little early, shorter than what I liked, but you know what? I think we got a lot of information out there, and hopefully you watch, like, subscribe, and please comment if you can. Every week it'll get better. We kind of, we're like a spaghetti. We throw it against the wall. If it sticks, we keep it. If it don't, we throw it out. That's how this whole show started. DCG Entertainment. We're up to over 5,100 subscribers at this point. Our private members are growing, and we started out with two subscribers. So we're getting there, little by little, as they say. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of the comments and opinions shared. Again, don't be afraid to share your opinion, but do it kindly and do it responsibly. All right, for now, I am Denny Cool. All right, be kind to others, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. I will see you guys Friday evening, 7 p.m. Have an awesome night.